Hey guys, it's Saturday, October 21st. Actually on my way to the MGM right now. Play some poker. Since this is my first poker vlog, I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of backstory on myself. So the MGM opened up last December. I think the first time I visited here was probably January, possibly February. It was definitely in that time period. I don't live in the area. I live 3 hours away, so when I'm up here, I like to come up for several days at a time, stay with friends, play poker. If I'm up in the area, sometimes I go up to Parks also, which is in kind of like in the Philadelphia area. I got a friend up there I stay with when I'm up playing poker there. But yeah, it's kind of what I've been doing off and on this year. I'm doing it a lot more frequently now, so earlier in the year I would come up maybe 3, 4, 5 days a month if I was lucky. Then, so I had a online business on Amazon. We ended up selling it at the end of June, my partners and I. It's kind of a sad story. The people we sold it to ended up being a couple of evil fucks, and they screwed us out of a lot of money, which is never fun. So, but again, that happened at the end of June. So since July 1st, I've been up here, actually trying to play a lot more, and I've been somewhat successful. July was actually my biggest month ever as far as hours put in. I think I put in 87 hours, so it's not a ton, but it's definitely it was probably more hours that month than the first 6 months combined. So that's sort of my backstory. I play mostly PLO. I will play Hold'em if I have to wait like a long time to get into a PLO game, but I prefer not to play Hold'em. Although my Hold'em game is actually at least somewhat fundamentally sound, I would say. Like, I actually know what I'm doing in Hold'em. PLO, just splashing around, seem to make money. The player pool at this MGM casino, without a doubt, is really, really bad. As far as like fundamentally PLO, and I don't even know really what I'm doing fundamentally. Like, that's the truth. I don't know what I'm doing fundamentally when it comes to PLO, but these people really don't know what they're doing. So it's kind of easy to make money. It's fun. I'm already sort of friends with quite a few people there. It's definitely a good group of people. They're friendly, very, very chatty. Very easy to have a conversation with them. Not every table is like that, but a lot of the tables are very cordial, which is always nice when you're playing poker and you're making money. It's just nice to keep a friendly atmosphere. So, sorry about that, guys. We're now at the MGM parking garage. We had run into a bit of traffic, so I just figured it was best for me to wait until I got into the MGM. What I was going to say was, so the goal of the vlog is not going to be, like what it is for like a lot of other vlogs. I mean, I don't have time to put in like top quality production and like what you're used to seeing, I guess, in like Andrew or Brad's vlogs. I've got to play poker, unfortunately, due to those circumstances that unfolded earlier in the year. I thought I'd have a lot more money, and then the lawyers come in and they just railroad you in the ass, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. It sucks. Such is the way of life, I guess. So I'm gonna be playing a lot of poker. Probably will let my little younger brother edit the vlogs for me. That way I can get in as much poker time as possible. I will definitely still be able to shoot the surroundings, the scenery, the casino, but it's just not going to be like top line production, unfortunately. What I probably will have a lot of in the vlogs is talking about hands, talking about the way hands are played, the best strategies to play hands. I do have quite a few good PLO friends that I already talk hands over with, so that's a good start. But PLO, especially for PLO, you will come into a lot of interesting spots where the decision is not entirely clear. In Hold'em, I mostly am pretty confident when I'm making plays in Hold'em that they're fundamentally correct, like balance-wise. PLO, not so much. So for instance, there was one hand yesterday that I played. I'll just go over this hand really quickly. This was probably one of the more interesting hands yesterday. It was, I think, under the gun limped. So the game is 1-2, but it's a $5 bring-in, so you can't see a flop for less than $5. So you can actually open to 15 as a raiser. So it's $1 $2 blinds, but you can open to 15. So under gun limped for, I believe it was $5. Well, they limped for $5. It gets folded around to a small blind, who makes it 15. I'm in the big blind with Queen 8 10-10, suited to the Queen. So stack sizes are, I probably have a little over 1,000. Small blind probably has about 500. And undergun probably 600 or so. So small blind makes it 15. I call the 15. Undergun calls 15. It's 45 in the pot. Flop comes 10-7-5 with 2 clubs. So I flop top set, flop nuts, but it's a pretty wet board. Just as a general strategy for me, I like, if stacks aren't massively deep, like typically how I play is I just ram jam, get it in on a lot of flops. So any flop where I flop like a nut flush draw and something strong to go with it, like top pair, gut shot, an open ender. Like I typically fast play those hands, try to get it, I mean, I don't know if this is correct or not. It seems to be working out for me generally. But I try to get those, you know, heads up, fast play them, and then just let the cards fall where they may. I'll do that with a lot of strong hands too. In this spot though, so the small blind leads for 30, and with the top set, I just flat them. Considered raising, but I wanted to see a turn before I committed a lot of money into this pot. So I flat him, and then the undergun player folds, so about 100 in the pot. The turn comes an offsuit 9, so 10-9 or 10-7-5 9. So we have Queen 10 10 8. So we turn a gut shot to a queen high straight. The turn puts a lot of straights on the board. He leads now for 80. That's 80 into 100. So I mean, this to me seems like a pretty clear call. I don't see how you can do anything really besides call here. We still have top set, turn additional outs, most likely if we're behind right now. But I'm not loving the spot, obviously. We call the 80. So it's 160, 100, 250, 260 in a pot right now. The river comes an offsuit 3. So 10-7-5, 9-3. 6-4 gets there, but 6-4 is not really a concern. The front door clubs missed. He thinks about it for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then puts 165 out there. Close spot. I mean, to me, this is really close. I've talked to a couple of friends of mine. I mean, I thought this was close in the moment. They seem to say it's pretty close too. They both leaned toward a fold here. But I will say this, in close spots, this is just the way I play. In close spots where I feel like you could fold or you can call, I lean towards a call. I'm a bit of a station. And so a couple things I also considered was I checked my cards. I did not have a club. Not have a club in my hand, so it's more combos of nut flush draws that bricked, which is really what I'm hoping he has. I mean, that's kind of what I hope he has here, just like a nut flush draw that bricked. I mean, yeah, he definitely could have a lot of straights, no doubt about that. I definitely can have straights. But top set, I don't know, it's just a weird close spot. Decided to make the call, put 2 black chips out there. when I called, he looked very pained to see the call, so that's always a good sign. Turned over ace of clubs, deuce of clubs, queen of spades, jack of spades. So, I mean, he did have a nut flush draw. He turned an open ender to nuts on both ends, and then fired the brick river. I like his play. I don't know how profitable, if it is at all, my call. Well, I mean, from what my two friends said, they had their doubts about whether that call is profitable. I do too, but then again, I never claimed to be an expert on PLO. I just I play strong hands, try to play them aggressively, and it's been working out. I will be including the graph so far of every session I've tracked since the beginning of July 1st. Pretty solid graph rather. So yeah, that's about it. I am going to try to get in a nice long session today. It's a little weird talking to a camera. Like, I've never done this before, so it's probably going to take me some time to get used to it. But I do want to talk about a lot of hands. Every interesting hand that I play today, I'm definitely going to jot down, go back over it. Probably won't include graphics at some point. Probably will tell my little brother to include graphics of the hands and whatnot, just so it's easier to follow along. But yeah, that's it. I'll probably shoot some footage of the National Harbor, which is just right directly ahead there. And that's it for now. I'll get back to you after I play some hands. So there was no poker game. Well, there's no PLO game, at least, running right now. So I'm actually over here at the National Harbor. I'm gonna walk around, take some pictures. It's really nice. So we still don't have a PLO game running. It's about 12:15. I'm gonna head over to the market and grab a burrito bowl. Hopefully the PLO game kicks off pretty soon. All right, I'll see you there. So we just got done eating that burrito bowl. It was good, not great. Still no PLO game running. So I may take a few more pictures around the MGM here, around the outside. And if worse comes to worse, I'll just sit in a hold'em game until they kick off that PLO game. I hope it doesn't come to that, but it just may. But for now, I'll just shoot a few more shots around the MGM here. Hey guys, so that's No Illusion going on in the background. It's actually Sunday afternoon here in Farmville, Virginia. I actually drove down here last night to visit my parents, and I went over the hands, went over the session. Unfortunately, the lighting was a lot poorer than I had expected, so I won't be using any of that footage. The session itself was sort of a dud. We played for about 6.5 to 7 hours. Never could really get anything going. Never got a stack more than 750. It was just a grind. We would win a few small pots, then lose some medium-sized pots. Yeah, it was not a good day. There's no interesting hands really to speak of. There was 3 hands though that I'll go over right now. So the first hand, we have 300-ish. We are in middle position, Queen, Jack, 9-7, suited to the 9. We have spades. We open 15. 4 people call behind us. I believe 2 have position and 2 both the blinds call. Flop comes down Queen, 8-4, rainbow. So we flop top pair, gut shot. And we have a backdoor flush draw. We lead out on this flop for $50. 3 of the 4 people call. So 260, 270 in the pot. We have roughly 220, 230 behind. The turn is an offsuit deuce. It brings in a backdoor flush draw. It's check to us. We have less than a pot size bet. At this point, you know, this is a spot where I'm just going to get the rest of the money in. I don't love it, but I'm going to have to check. If I check, I'm going to have to call it off with the flush draw. Nobody really showed aggression on the flop. I don't know how often we're good here, but we're not. It's not a spot I'm willing to fold. So we stick the rest of the money in. We get 1 caller. The river pairs the 4. It brings in the 3rd spade. So we do make the backdoor flush. We show the 9 high spades, and it's good. We scoop the pot. So this next hand is what I would consider a setup hand, especially given the way that I play these type of hands. So I start off with about 725, 750 in my stack. Under the gun limps. I'm under gun +1 with double suited kings, king, king, jack 4, suited to hearts and spades. So I make it 20. 3 people call to $20, and then the undergun folds. So it's 4 ways to flop, 80, 85 in the pot. Flop comes Queen, 10-6, Queen of Hearts, 6 of Hearts, 10 of Diamonds. So this is a pretty monster flop for our hand. Overpair, gut shot, or rather open-ended to the nuts on both ends, and king high flush draw. Checks to me. I lead here for 75. The player on my direct left just sat down the hand before and bought in for 500. So he makes it 300, folds back around to me. He, like I said, he just bought in for 500, so I just put the rest of his stack in there for him, and then he calls it off. So the turn brings in the flush, and then the river bricks out. So I felt pretty good turning over my hand. Fortunately, he had ace, king, queen, 4 double suited, and he had nut hearts. So he ended up taking down that pot. It wasn't huge, maybe $1,100. Kind of sucks. I actually looked up the equity for that exact hand. 46 and change, he's 53 and change. I kind of thought he had a set, maybe like a top two with open-ended, like queen, jack, 10, 9, king, queen, jack, 10, something like that. I mean, I'm fine getting it in there against any hand really. But the curious thing was when I looked up, gave him queens on that board against my exact hand on that exact board, the equities barely changed. I mean, it's essentially the same equity versus queens, so top set, as it was versus his exact hand, which was top pair, gutter ball, and the nut flush draw. So we lose that pot. We're down to 2 and change, and we have to start to rebuild. So in this last hand, we start with just under 300. We were able to build it back up to around 500 or 600 from the time that we lost with the kings, but then we got in with aces pre, could not hold. It was just one of those days where we were just zigzagging all over the place, but never could really get any momentum, which happens. I mean, I've definitely had those days before, but those are never fun. So we looked down at Queen Jack 10-6 from middle position. Two early position players limp, which is common in this game. A lot of limping, some raising, but a lot of limping. So we make it. We have hearts and diamonds. We make it 25 from middle position. The person on our direct left who stacked us in the king's hand, he calls the 25. The big blind calls the 25, and the limpers both fold. So flop comes down, Queen 9-4, rainbow. We have a backdoor draw. Top pair, open-ended. Big blind checks to us. So again, this is a spot where I just lead out as the pre-flop raiser, continue the aggression. It's a pretty good flop for our range. We bet 75 into 80, 85, so it's definitely a bit on the bigger side, but I want to get enough of my stack in to where I have an easy turn jam. I guess I could have bet smaller though, now that I think about it. Anyway, both the guy in position on us calls, and then the big blind also calls. So going three ways to a turn. Turn is the deuce of clubs. So it brings in a backdoor flush draw because there was a club on the flop. So it brings in a backdoor flush draw, not the one that we have. We big blind checks. We put the rest of our stack in, which at this point is about 160 or 170. I don't remember offhand what it was. It was 6 green chips and a couple red. So the person on our left thinks about it for 10 seconds or so, ends up making the call. The big blind thinks about it for like 10 seconds or so and ends up making the fold. So we see a river. It's an offsuit 9, so it pairs the middle card on the flop, does not bring in the backdoor flush draw. We turn over our queen jack, and then the person who called us looks at his hand and says we're good. Ends up showing me he had excuse me, he had jack 10 for something. So he had the exact same straight draw as us. He paired the 4 on the flop. He did turn the backdoor flush draw on the turn, and then just went with it, just called it off, and didn't get there. So we end up winning that hand, which is great. That gets our stack back up to 6 and change, and at this point we're in for 500, and at this point we've already played for at least 5 hours, 5.5 hours. This is definitely towards the end of our session when this hand happens. From there we play a few more pots, nothing of any significance. Lose a few more hands. Yeah, just one of those days. We end up cashing out shortly after. In for 500, out for 615. So small profit. I mean, to me, this is pretty much a break-even session. Anything plus or minus 300 one way or another is what I would consider break-even, but technically counts as a win. Makes 9 out of our last 10 sessions wins, which is good. But I played for 6 hours, 6.5 hours, so not ideal. Definitely not what I was looking for when I started the day. One good thing about the small win, though, is it does officially put us over 27K in earnings since July 1st. So it wasn't a total loss. So I think for the rest of today, again, which is Sunday, I think I'm going to try to figure out how the hell to edit this vlog. Not something I've ever done. And again, do not expect a production quality vlog, the type of Andrews or Brad or really anyone. I just don't have the time to be able to put into a vlog like that, since I still have to play poker, thanks to those cocksuckers out of Seattle. So I am going to have to continue to play poker. I will try to get this done today. Hopefully we'll be able to play some poker Monday or no later than Tuesday of next week. And I'll be able to put out more content. At least that's my hope. So yeah, thank you for checking out my first vlog here. I hope to have plenty of interesting hands to discuss here in the near future, and I'll see you soon.